Thank you. That brings us to our discussion agenda, which is a proposed revisions of board policy IKA-R grading assessment system shown in Exhibit H.
Thank you, Chairman Gant.
Milton.
This is another one of those revised policies that was passed in March of 2017. But due to some changes at the state level, the State Department of Education, this gives us an opportunity to bring you the most up-to-date revisions that we'd like to recommend. If you'll join me in Exhibit H, page 7, you're going to see a clarification here, and this is for the ease of our families. The portion you see on the bottom of page 7, we have separated out grades 3 through 5. We're showing the grading scale there, which of course has not been a change, but beneath that you're going to see on the bottom of page 7 that carries over to the top of page 8, the grades that students can earn in their exploratories, art, music, physical education, and other classes. Not the core program, but we have students that have the grading systems of meets or progressing or in satisfactory progress towards the expectations of those content areas. So that's the revisions that you see on page 7 and 8. Also on page 8, you see that we have struck through the grade 3 and cleaned it up to be grades 6 through 12. Again, that's just to try to simplify it for the parents' ease to understand this is a grading system for grades 6 through 12, and then the portion preceding that would be for grades 3 through 5. Now, if you'll advance with me to page 12, I'm just going to keep talking over the big themes of information for these revisions. The model policy that we receive from the school boards is still trying to make sure that we are calibrating what we do with our policies that will be in alignment with the state uniform grading system or the uniform grading scale. So all this that you see in blue is to make sure that we've brought into how we're going to grade if a student were to earn an F, how we're going to calculate that on their transcript. At the bottom of page 12, you're going to see some other recommendations, and this is under the heading of honors courses. Our State Department of Education has worked on a South Carolina Honors Framework Implementation Guide. So we've extracted this from the implementation guide because within the Office of Instruction and with all of our content areas, thanks to our assistant principals of instruction and also our department heads and teacher leaders, we are going through to make sure that we are prepared for an audit, looking at our honors courses to make sure there is a different level of rigor in honors courses as compared to college prep courses, or as we call CP courses. So you're going to see that captured on the bottom of page 12, and it carries over onto page 13. This, of course, continues to define how we're going to grade things, but you also see that continued effort to try to make sure we bring into the profile of the South Carolina graduate into our policies. At the bottom of the page, you're going to see things about dual credit courses. You heard Ms. Wall-Mitchell reference earlier this evening with the accountability report how dual credit, how AP and IB courses are going to be calculated into the new system. So we're trying to make sure that we've got this in direct alignment with what that new accountability system is going to be. Dual credit does carry over into the top of page 14. The details that we worked on so much back in the spring have not been changed. This is just to make sure that we have it in compliance with how the quality points will be measured per the direction of the State Department of Education here in South Carolina. Towards the bottom of page 14, under course withdrawals, you're going to see that we've added the statement there. Students who withdraw with administrative approval will be given a WP. We want to make sure that there is that administrative approval involved, but that there's a clear picture as to what happens if a student does choose to do that, because we need to make sure that we're consistent across the district, and without that consistency, we're putting in danger our students' choices, as well as putting our administrators in a precarious situation. On page 15, and this is the final page, so thank you for your endurance. Page 15 is just more of that cleaning it up, trying to make sure that we have the processes in place, because of course this being the rule, we have to have lots of steps here that anyone involved with this process would know exactly what to do here in School District 5. So we've outlined what we're going to do if a course were to ask to be retaken because the grade was not what it needed to be for that particular student. So Mr. Gant, that's the overview of these revisions that we're bringing forth to you this evening.
Have any questions? Ms. Hammond.
I have one quick question. It's on page 12. An honors course must have a curriculum that extends, accelerates, and enriches the college preparatory course study in rigor, complexity, challenges, creativity, as outlined in Profile of South Carolina Graduate. Does that mean my teachers that are teaching, one of those AP courses, do they have somewhat of a rubric? Because, like if I look at as outlined in Profile of South Carolina Graduate, do they know exactly what they're expected to teach? In other words, is it subjective to decide that that's more rigor or that's more complex and that's more challenging? Do they have really strict guidelines so they can know that they're doing the right thing?
We are focusing a lot of professional development within that.
Okay.
Just last week, we had a full day of professional development looking towards how to design that rubric. We've already completed the process with accountability. I'm not sure if Ms. Wall-Mitchell is still here, but we've completed the process already of looking at course syllabus to make sure that what we're already using currently is in compliance with these new expectations. Those places that we were concerned about, we've had communications with those department heads, with those content coordinators to make sure that we're trying to be proactive. We do anticipate an audit. We don't know for sure, but we
Yeah,
do
that's what I was
anticipate that
thinking
School
about.
District
Well-
5 is likely to be visited by the department. So it's a good chance for us to do a complete overview and a refresh when necessary. But overall, we're finding a very favorable response that our teachers are already designing rigorous courses, and there's already alignment across the system to make sure that one high school does not differ significantly from another.
And my question was not really, I don't question that they're going to do it right. I was just trying to help that teacher out. Teachers like to give students a rubric. I think that a teacher needs exactly to know what you're looking for.
No,
It
I
helps
will
them.
tell you, we don't issue it and send it out. We make sure it's embedded with professional development. So whenever our coordinators have led these conversations, it's been to make sure that we say in our department, many voices, one message. No matter whose voice is delivering, it's got to be the consistent message to make sure that our processes are in place.
Thank you. That's it.
Mr. Cates.
Dr. Melton, on page 14, course withdrawals, I want to make sure I understand. If a student is beyond the initial withdrawal period, they receive the WF and the grades recorded as a 50 to calculate their GPA. The administrative approval, an example of that might be a medical issue or something of that nature beyond the student's control or the family's control. That's the option that covers those kind of incidents?
That would be an example.
The
yes, sir.
administrative?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anything else? Anyone have, Ms. Hutchinson?
Just a quick question, page 15, FA, does that stand for failing with absences, or what does FA mean?
It should be defined for us on a previous page, but yes, ma'am, that's what it stands for. But if it's not defined previously, I need to make sure that that is defined for the reader.
It probably is, I just overlooked it. I'll look for it.
I'll make sure that, no, ma'am, I'll make sure I do that. Thank you, Ms. Hutchison.
Mr. Camp, Ms. Hutchinson's question made me think of something. Do we give, not just with advanced placement, do we have a policy for the kids that they can't make below a 50? A teacher can't give below a 50?
No, ma'am, we do not.
We do not. The teacher can give the real grade? They can give a 0?
Teachers
if
issue the earned grade. So in School District 5, we do not have a minimum grade. There are some districts that do
Yeah,
that.
but-
We have, our board policy, we were very clear on that students earn the grade that they have worked towards or lack thereof, with ample opportunities to make sure that
Sure.
a 0 is not the grade that's recorded.
Okay.
Any other questions on this discussion item? All right, thank you. That reminds me, and to remind the audience, next meeting will be October 23rd at H.E. Corley Elementary, and with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Ms. Baumgartner.
I move that we adjourn.
Mr. White seconds. All those in favor, please raise your hand, and that passes unanimously. Thank you very much for being here.
Mr. Gann, I noticed we have a student who is doing the videotape, and
Great
we ought
observation.
to recognize him.
Oh.
Well,
Better
tell
give
us,
him a
tell us who you are, because we do need to do that. You may be a young new employee, Ms. Hutchison.
That's true. Well, could be.
My name is Gabe Marchand. I'm a student of Mr. Langley's at the Kincaid Center. I'm a Media Technology 3.
Oh.
Great. Well, thank you
That's
for
right.
recording today.